Hi everyone, Chris Chinnock here for the 8K Monitor. It's May 17th, 2022. We're going to talk about issue 56. So I'm just back from DisplayWeek where I saw lots of stuff display related, of course. And the first news article we talk about are the highlights of 8K from DisplayWeek. So there were printed OLED displays, very bright OLED displays, super large 8K displays, lots of interesting stuff happening in display technology and pushing the frontier in terms of 8K as well. So check out that article. Bob Breaks also takes a look at the larger class of displays that are coming. So we come in 4K, we had kind of 55 and 65 inch. 8K is moving to 65 and 75. But even larger displays in the 90 to 110 inch class are starting to become a thing. Maybe not a mainstream thing yet, but a thing for sure. So Bob takes a look at the issues and trends that are happening in that space as well, and the implications for 8K. And issue 56 comment section, we have a number of articles we've highlighted to talk about this week. First of all, there's an article about 8K content creation, in particular how um, the cameras are available and the production techniques are certainly readily available to produce in 8K, capture and finish in 8K, yet filmmakers are still not doing that. So it's just kind of an article to highlight the advantages and the non-limitations of moving to 8K capture and production. NAB also saw the introduction of some new updates from ColorFront. In particular, their Transkoder appliance is used quite widely in onset production as well as post-production for producing DCPs, IMFs, and other deliverables across the range. And they've now talked about upgrading that to support 8K across a wide range of applications. Qualcomm also announced that they have their chipset is used in some of the advanced smartphones, of course, and they've now produced some content. Actually, the first content that's being shot in HDR from a smartphone previously that you could capture 8K content, but it was all SDR content. So that's a new advancement which we'll see rolled out in phones, I think, going forward even more readily. We also talk about a new development from VESA. They are now qualifying both sync and source devices that can support the DisplayPort 2.0 specification. DP 2.0 is going to be very important in the IT space, and this interface can now support either 40 or even up to 80 gigabits per second. So that's a big jump in display connectivity in the IT space. So we'll hear more about that. And from ISE in Barcelona, which happened to be the same week as Display Week, there's news that Samsung has introduced new versions of The Wall, their micro LED based direct view solution. What's important here is that they've reduced the pixel pitch down to 0.63 millimeters. So that is state of the art right now, and allows them to create an 8K display, which they showed at ISE. That's only 220 inches. I say only because their previous versions of 8K was about, well, at least half as big, if not bigger, 200 and something inches. So or sorry, 440 inches as I recall. So that's not bad. It's still a very large display, still very expensive, but we're moving in the right direction here, of course. In issue 56, also noted section, we have a number of articles that we kind of highlight very quickly here. So at Display Week, BOE talked about a number of things, but one of them, which actually I was unable to see, was their electroluminescent quantum dot display. Apparently, this died in transit, and so, but electroluminescent quantum dot displays are very important because the quantum dots can be driven now with current instead of photons, which is the way all quantum dot TVs are driven today. So that's an important development, but still, obviously, R&D at this stage. We highlighted a story on 4K versus 8K TVs that kind of looks at the pluses and minuses of that. We come back to another story that looks at the production capabilities of 8K, again showing the maturity of 8K capture and production, yet the lack of finishing and distribution of that content. There's also a story that talks about the best of 8K TVs, so highlighting some of the 8K TVs that are out there for buyers interested in looking at that option. Back at I guess it was ISE, iBase introduced a digital signage player that has four HDMI 2.0 outputs, which can now support 8K. They have other digital signage players with 10 or 12 outputs of HDMI for canvases beyond 8K. And coming up at Infocom, there will be some new cables that will be introduced there, both active and passive for HDMI that can support 8K as well. So that's the story for issue 56 of the 8K Monitor. Chris Chinnock here.